sweeties, how are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. If this is your first time of coming across this channel, sweetheart, kindly smash that subscribe button and turn your notification so you are notified each time I upload. And please give this video a thumb up. I appreciate you all so much, and I'm saying shout out to every one of you for the support. You all shower me here with I am grateful, and you all are super sweet. So there is this letter going around, letter to America from Osama bin Laden. As I speak to you, this letter is nowhere to be found because like TikTok censored it, Guardian that posted it also took it, the most distant that posted it took it down. But I was able to gather informations from people, and people are also not saying so much about it because the videos are being taken down. I mean, just to tell you how media, how they control the media. So as we all already know that according to what they told us about what happened in 9/11, like they told us that, people hate their, their freedom. So for that reason, they decided to do what they did. But it happened that what happened in 9/11 was trying to teach America how they have been unaliving people in the middle and all the horrible things they've been doing in the Middle East. And according to what the letter also said, the letter said that the Jewish control the media, and which is true. So all these that people were taught about 9/11 are all true, are all lies. And also them trying to tell us that people like hate their freedom, like Americans' freedom, was also a lie. Let's get into this video. I am sure you are going to understand better from what people are also saying. Let's get into it.
Have people on TikTok saying Osama bin Laden, not that bad of a guy.
So when we talk about propaganda, misinformation, disinformation, and how they seep into a society to the point that people forget what the real information ever was or that it even ever existed, this guy's video is an excellent example of how that happens. So he has something like 800,000 people following him on TikTok, and his bio says that he works for Barstool Sports as a journalist, which is obviously an inherent contradiction, as that's not journalism. But again, he has a really large following. And so what he did was he made a video that basically says that he's surprised that so many people are making videos on TikTok sympathizing and praising Osama bin Laden recently, right? That's literally not what's happening, right? He dumbed down what is actually happening to the point where it's just a flat out lie. What people are doing is a lot of people are reading Osama bin Laden's letter to America and having discourse about it around some of the valid things that he brings up about American imperialism and American warmongering, not just in the Middle East, but throughout the world. That is it, right? Like, just no one's praising Osama bin Laden. They're like, oh man, he makes some valid points about America. Not, oh, he's a moral figure or he's offering moral clarity about his actions. That's not what anyone is doing. It's simply like, oh, he's not wrong about the contradiction and the hypocrisy of America and the contradiction and hypocrisy of Israel as it relates to the Middle East, right? And any settler colonial nation. But this guy, to his nearly 800,000 followers, is like, cool, I didn't have on my bingo card that people are going to be praising Osama bin Laden today. And like screenshots for videos in which the creators are literally not doing that. Right? If you go to each of their accounts, they're not doing that. But he knows that his follower base is not, they're not intellectuals. They're not critical thinkers. They are people who follow Barstool Sports. And so this is how this happens. You have this like huge creator, him, right? Just flat out lying to the point where now 800,000 people are just going to believe that people are on TikTok praising bin Laden when it's literally not happening. That's how it happens. That's how propaganda wins.
Good morning. So we need to talk about that letter to America that everyone's losing their mind over. Now, firstly, I'm going to give my thoughts on it. If you had asked me 10 years ago why I thought the 9/11 attacks happened, I would have given you the same regurgitated, propagandized answer that was beaten into my head as a child. Because they hate us because we have freedom. However, as I've been deconstructing the worldviews that were taught to me as a kid, I've come to realize that's simply not the case. Quite simply, they hate us because we've been fucking up their home for decades. For longer than I have been alive, the United States and other Western powers have been exploiting the Middle East for oil and other resources, indiscriminately murdering their civilians, and funding Israel's brutal and illegal occupation of Palestine. Basically, my thoughts on the whole thing are something to the effect of this.
And I'm not saying he should have killed her, but I understand.
Now, having said all that, I need to talk about some of the reactions to this letter that I have seen floating around this app. I have actually seen more than a few creators say things like Osama did nothing wrong, and if that's what you think, then you have really lost the plot. Was the man justified in being angry and fed up with the United States? Absolutely. In fact, I think more people within our own borders should be that level of angry and fed up with the United States. But number one, there is nothing in this world that will ever justify the taking of innocent life. If you're asking me, well, what else should he have done? I don't know. I genuinely do not have an answer to that question, and I'm sorry for that. Number two, a lot of y'all really seem to be glossing over the several points in this little document where he blames the Jews for everything. Like, it really disappoints me how quickly some of y'all can go from anti-Zionism to full-blown anti-Semitism. Oh yeah, there's also several points in the letter where he talks about wanting to enforce Islam on the entire world, which I've already rejected the Judeo-Christian God once. I don't see why I'd be more accepting to another flavor of the same entity. But the point I'm trying to make is that some of y'all really need to apply some more nuance to your worldviews. You can absolutely understand and sympathize with someone's motives. That doesn't mean you have to excuse the horrible things they do.
So I read Osama bin Laden's letter to America. I've tried making this.
You know, oftentimes I really do get shocked on this app when people wake up to certain things about this country and this government. And I'm really glad that this letter to America written by Osama bin Laden is so spot on, so clear and concise. Like it's such an easy read, and it's so comprehensible that like even the dumbest person can kind of like get it. But that letter reveals nothing more than how much the American citizens are really dumbed down to everything that's going on outside of the world. Like, we thought that white culture was the bubble, and like we are trying to pop that bubble, not realizing that the American society also keeps us in a bubble, and like there are people that are existing outside of our way of living, and they have their opinions and experiences too, being on the other end of the spectrum. So, you know, but when you follow these conspiracy theorists and read books by David Icke and been just like, you know what I mean? Like just going down a rabbit hole, stuff like this is not a surprise anymore. Like it's not a surprise. Like this government has worked really hard and has been very successful at persuading the masses, distracting the masses, and then also silencing the masses as well. And the way that Osama bin Laden read the American people and really was just like, no shade, but y'all bitches are at fault too because y'all tax me. It's just like, you can't even get mad at the nigga. Like, you can't even get mad at him. Like, no shade. Like, I don't agree with a lot of his, you know, religious extremist type of like ideals that was written in that letter. But everything outside of that, like, no tea, no shade. Like, he ate that up. Like, he ate that the fuck up. Like, he ate that up because, yes, and there's people in this country that has been talking about this for mad long and been saying this for mad long, but nobody want to believe them. And, like, now it's just like, no shade. Like, when stuff like this, like, comes to surface, there's nothing really you could do but be quiet, especially if you know, because it's like, oh, well, you're just going to be saying it and going around saying, I told you so. But, you know, I definitely, you know, it's time for allow this letter to awaken even people more. You know, people are going to awaken to different things at different times and, you know, at different points in their lives. But some people, it's this letter. You know, for others, it was 9/11 or whatever tragedy that made them wake up to the realities of this world. That hopefully, you know, in part, just make people wake up to themselves and make the changes that's needed. Because, yeah, anybody that wants to come here and fuck shit up, I don't blame you. I don't blame you, because whatever they doing over to these other countries, they are also doing it to this homeland, and people don't be realizing that too. the same shit that they doing to y'all, they are doing to the American people as well, if not even worse, because girl, this healthcare system alone is terrorism. So, and then minus the homegrown terrorism that's here. So, child, yeah.
I think the Bin Laden letter is really interesting. I mean, what it speaks to is how much the internet has changed, right? People's understanding of the world. And so it's like that old saying, a man can never walk in the same river twice because he's never the same man and it's never the same river. That goes for propaganda too. And so I think the people most surprised by the Bin Laden letter are the people that you know, maybe grew up in the shadow of 9/11 and were taught some sort of, I don't even know what they were taught about it, but you know, the conventional wisdom was they hated our freedom. They hated our freedom. When they hated us taking their freedom. Now, Bin Laden's not a good person. This isn't like an argument for Bin Laden, but he actually had some good points as we're seeing. And so what's changed between 2002 when he wrote it and now is what I'm always talking about, the internet, right? So not only the information disseminating, but now we're seeing how the word terrorist is one of the most politicized words in the history of time, right? And that it reflects guerrilla warfare and longstanding traditions of standing like armies demonizing anybody having the audacity to stand up to them in ways that aren't like putting on a uniform and meeting them head on to be exterminated, right? And so, you know, I always maintain 9/11 was pretty much the most successful guerrilla attack in the history of time. And people really don't understand the political reality of the T word, of terrorism, and that it's a political act, and that it's not nihilistic violence so much as it's an underdog who doesn't have the military budget, who needs to capitalize on theatrics and terror and literally scare people. Because I'll tell you what, like being invaded by the United States Army is the scariest possible thing that could ever happen to any human being on the face of the planet, now or ever. Literally, there's nothing more terrifying than the United States Army. So the terror is performative violence to scare everybody and to exaggerate the threat of the underdog using do-it-yourself mechanisms to fight. And so, you know, this letter like makes some good points because we now have the internet that showed us empathy. It showed us the other side. Like I was saying yesterday, the ability to fight a war and to rally a population behind the war 100% rests on the ability to dehumanize the opponent. If you don't dehumanize the opponent, it just looks like murder, because that's what it is. People killing people, right? It's like Hannah Arendt says, when you want to draw away from the facts, you go to motive. So it's not who's killing more people, it's why the people are being killed and how the people are being killed, when the reality is killing. And so to me, the Bin Laden letter speaks to just how badly all Americans fell for our propaganda post 9/11, how very few of them sought to understand. I read book. I mean, all the information was there right away. It wasn't hidden. It was just people trusting the government. And so we have all of this information between now and then. We have a real-time example of how, you know, these things actually work. And so, you know, the internet, I think the reason all of this authoritarianism stuff is going to keep going and get worse is because they have no choice. Like we've always lived in a controlled reality, and the fact that you hear this Jonathan Greenblatt leaked conversation, the Anti-Defamation League CEO talking about their Gen Z problem and basically claiming anybody that's anti-Israel in this conflict is somehow falling for Iranian propaganda. That's ridiculous. They're just not down with genocide. And they haven't been able to dehumanize their opponent because they're literally poor brown people who've done nothing but been unfortunate enough to have been born into a concentration camp and being born under the foot of Israel trying to destroy these people. And so to me, it speaks to the problem we have. And so the awareness is good. But what we really don't seem to understand, again, is imperialism. And so, again, like Bin Laden struck at imperialism, and imperialism struck back. Hamas struck at imperialism, and imperialism struck back. People in America are striking at imperialism, and then there's Cop City. I mean, think of Cop City. It's like everything Republicans do is like an analog of some sort of conspiracy theory or fever dream. They're literally projecting their responses. So that's Jade Helm. Joe Biden should be dismantling Cop City. I mean, this is absurd, right? That we have all of these states, that have Trumpers and election deniers and delusional cult members in charge, reacting to things that never happened in ways that are incredibly dangerous. And so all over the place, I think what we're seeing is a population coming into an awareness that the power structures will not tolerate. And what they're going to do, who knows? But I mean, this idea we can vote our way out of this based on this new awareness, we're showing ourselves in ways that is making imperialism tighten up their control, right? They can no longer control the information, so they're going to control our bodies.
I forget that TikTok is young. That majority of the people on TikTok are young, because the fervor and the excitement over the letter from Osama bin Laden is really driving me crazy. First, I find it hilarious because Osama bin Laden's family was in America when he bombed America. They were attending school, and they were quickly evacuated by the Bushes. The Bushes and the bin Ladens were friends. Bush 1, 2, and Reagan were who bin Laden had such problems with and why he bombed America. He didn't bomb where his sisters and brothers were. He did bomb some innocent people that had nothing to do with what he hated America for. But I understand that America is a war criminal and has committed atrocities through the world, and people hate America. But I live in America, and I don't have nothing to do with that shit. So I'm not down with terrorist attacks targeting innocent civilians again. Osama bin Laden and everything he said in his letter, I already knew. Because I know the country that I live in. As I stated the other day, people were happy when America was attacked on 9/11 because of America's atrocities. However, the people that were killed on September 11th, and then the firefighters and the policemen and everybody that died as a result of cancer from September 11th, none of those people had anything to do with what bin Laden's problem was on September 11th.
I read a letter to America last night actually, and I was stuck. Because I thought I understood the level of deceit within the U.S. education system. I thought I understood the level of deceit. Like I thought I understood, how deep the propaganda went. I didn't know how deep the propaganda went. I didn't know how deep the propaganda went. That day in September that our country talks about as if it was yesterday. That's painted in the way it was painted. Still a horrific thing to happen. Still a terrible tragedy in many, many, many people's lives. But I understand why now. I don't think people understand that to understand an ideology is not to endorse the actions of that ideology. To understand why someone would do something is not to endorse their action of them doing it. But the act of being able to understand someone's ideology is the act of being able to see their humanity. Our government forced us to not see their humanity. They forced us not to see their humanity. They said it's because they're T-words. They said it's because they're animals. They said it's because they're monsters. And they want to, indoctrinate us under their rule and their religion. And yeah, I read the entirety of it. I read all 8 pages. Yes, I understand there's a part of it. There's a good part of it where it says, what do we want from you? We want you guys to convert to Islam. But it also says that we can't force you to convert to Islam. But if you stay focused on that, you miss all the other reasons. You miss all the other reasons that why didn't we stop to think, why would someone unalive for this? Why would someone be willing to unalive themselves for this. They weren't insane. It felt as if that was their last hope for freedom for their people.
So I recorded my letter to America response to Osama bin Laden's letter. What I was basically saying, like, it's 8 pages, and I went over the most important parts. I felt the ones that I interpreted to be the most important parts, because it was. There's a reason why everyone's talking about it. The way our minds were shaped, everything is a lie, and the veil of reality that we knew prior to this October has dropped completely. It's over and done with. But I posted it, and unfortunately, I posted it an hour ago, but as you can see at the bottom, TikTok hasn't released it. And I'm guessing it's because I'm too loud. So I don't know, y'all. I already posted my response to it. And I don't want to get like too into it because I feel like my authentic response is better. Also, I don't want this video to be taken down. I just kind of wanted to come inform you guys, let you know, like, hey, I did post it. I heard everyone who sent me the letter. Thank you so much, you guys. I love y'all. Y'all make life easy for me, which makes me want to pour back into y'all, and make sure that I show up fully, which is why it took me a while to read it. It was 8 pages, and I read all 8 of those pages. So I'm going to be excited to... I'm going to go back over it one more time, but I'm going to be excited to talk about it. If you guys want to talk about it, we can find a way to discuss it. But yeah, it's on hold right now. Like, everything he said was valid.
So we have now reached a point in American idiocy where Americans are agreeing with Osama bin Laden. So I was just recently made aware of this. See, as a member of the United States military with the specialty of working in military intelligence, I've seen this letter before. This letter from Osama bin Laden to the American people. And I wrote it off for what it was. It's a manifesto. It's the manifesto of a fucking rich boy who was upset that his family made money and he didn't contribute anything to it. All he did was live a life of luxury and got to do whatever the fuck he wanted and was completely funded by his rich family. Now, he was very upset by that because most of his family's money was made in the West, in dealing with people who weren't Muslims. Crazily enough, no matter how upset he was, he never had a problem spending that money. And now the man who is responsible for the murder of nearly 3,000 Americans, 3,000 American civilians, I have to watch Americans agree with him. Like, do y'all realize you are reading the manifesto of a madman? And not just your normal madman, but he is a madman who's everything that the American left hates. Like, this is a rich kid, raised in wealth, never wanted for a single thing in his life. He had servants, he had cleaners, he very likely had people that washed his balls the moment they dropped. But now Americans are so intent on destroying America that they will support this person regardless of what he did. Now, I'm going to dive way deeper into this letter. I would do it now, but honestly, I have to get up for work very early in the morning. But have no doubt, I am going to address every single fucking thing that psychopath says in this letter. But I could not come across another fucking video of watching Americans who live a life completely devoid of any fucking real struggle tell me that they agree with Osama bin Laden. Look, I recognize America has made mistakes, but to agree with some rich kid from the Middle East who decided to take his family's money and fund the murder of 3,000 civilians in America, for you fucking liberals to side with that fucking psycho, I legitimately, for the first time in my life, am speechless. I am embarrassed that people like you get to live here. You get to enjoy all of the wonderful things that it is to be an American and support somebody who, if they were alive today, would want to fucking murder you. And I'll be honest, this makes me even more dedicated to watching Israel win. Because I've realized now, after seeing videos like this, that this is not a fight about what's right and what's wrong, or whose economic system is correct, or whose presidential candidate should win. But no, this is a fight where on one side you have what is good, what is known, what should be done, and on the other side you have anarchists and idiots, and you cannot be allowed to win. For the sake of humanity, you must be defeated. And I'm going to dedicate my channel to watching you lose.
So this is all I got from the stitches, and I've been trying to find the letter, but trust me, almost all the videos, almost all the people that make videos, like dated videos about this letter to America, has been taken down. And also TikTok has censored it. Like if you type it, it probably will not say. Or luckily you can find it, because I have also been looking for it to find the full details, like to read everything, but I couldn't. So what I do is I just go from like people to like get some point and all that. Like with some little this that I saw, I was able to understand what he wrote on the letter. And then, sincerely speaking, we all knew, what was taught to people, especially in school, about 9/11. I am not justifying what Osama bin Laden did during 9/11, because like killing is not good, right? But sincerely speaking, the US, they have been invading the Middle East like from the way back, and stealing from them and killing, and still till this committing so much genocide to this very moment. And people are calling for ceasefire, right? They said no, they ain't even backing up, right? So some palm-colored people are defending 9/11 like there is no reason why people should be killed. I understand that. Nobody should ever take away civilians' lives and all that. But the same people that are mad that lives were taken from them, right, are still the people going around other places committing genocide. Are we talking about all the Middle East? Like, I am grateful that TikTok came, and a lot of Gen Zs are also looking into politics, getting to understand what happened or what has been happening, because you all knew, according to also the letter said that the Jews control the media, which is true, because all these years, like, the God of the, we all believe that they are the good people, they are the good guys, and every other people are the bad guys. Not until a lot started unfolding, people started seeing them through whom they are, like, not even like, knowing how horrible and how, their attitude towards other people, Middle East, like some Africans are. You all already can see what is going on all over the world. Like, since I was born, I grew up to understand that the Middle East, like, there are some places you do not go, because I am like, even if I am dying and somebody wants to like offer me to, that I cannot go. So sometimes I feel like they just do not like themselves, not knowing that this was man-made. It was somebody that has been doing all that. America is a bad guy. They have been doing they have been doing all these years, and people did not know. But I am glad that people are beginning also to know and understand what is going on. And like, I am going to say this, and I won't stop saying it. What Osama bin Laden did during 9/11, taking away lives, wasn't good, right? But I am also going to say that they also have been oppressing. Do you know just this that has been going on in Palestine between Israel and all that? Do you know how many lives has been taken? Do you? How many lives that has been taken? A lot of lives have been taken, right? And still, they are still sending in their support and the rest of it. It's just like, sometimes it is good to expand your knowledge, or it is good to, like, I am happy that this letter to America actually came. The Guardian that also published all of them, like, deleted all of it on their medias, and now trying to find something is like trying to find something like you are looking for a hard drug or something, Zionism ideology was like, establishing a country by unaliving one another people. And I'm going to, Zionism is a crime. I am not going to lie about that one. And we also remember that Osama bin Laden was also a bad guy. Yeah. He was also a terrorist. But why did he, according to what the letter is saying, why did he do all this? He did them because US has been doing a lot horrible thing to them in the Middle East. Man, this letter is just like a whole lot. And the reality is that when people try to explain more about the letter, their videos will be taken down. So you can also go to TikTok and look for, type letter to America. You probably might be lucky to find, or if you keep scrolling, like, something might pop up on your, FYP, and you can read it if you are lucky to find one. Yeah, I couldn't find anything. I was just seeing bit by bit and all that, and people are not, like, talking so much, going into details about it. So see you all in my next video. Bye for now.